when you have a bill to pay, you should say, I am feeling really grateful that I have the $150 to pay for this bill. It's down to that kind of level of gratitude that you can really raise your vibration and raise your frequency to attract more abundance into your life.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. It's Rick Nusky here. I hope you're doing really well. And by the way, thank you so very much for all the wonderful feedback that we have been receiving. Keep it coming. I'm absolutely loving it. Now, on today's call, I'm going to be spending some time with the wonderful Suzanne Acteson. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you very much. It's really nice to be connected again.
Yes, and just for some context, Suzanne, everybody who was with us today, last time we tried this, things didn't go so well, did they? We had one technical issue after another.
Yeah, we didn't manage to be able to complete the call, but here we are. We can pick up from where we left off.
And absolutely, we were on a roll. We were having a fantastic conversation about the moves that you've made and the renovation work that you've done, and I'd love to retrace all of those steps. So I guess the best place to start is at the start and just sort of find out where home is for you.
Very good question. What does home actually mean? I've often contemplated that question. And there's a brilliant TED Talk actually by a man named Pico Iyer who talks about home because he was a man kind of like me who's called multiple places home. I was born in France. I grew up in Canada, but then I spent the last 17 years in Australia before moving back to France with my family, as a grown adult. So I've kind of done, the full tour of the world. I've only ever moved west. And so I actually have the luxury and the joy of actually calling lots of those different places home. I genuinely do, because my three boys are Australian. And we still call Australia home, like the Qantas ad says. But my parents and my family are all still in Canada. And then now here I am, having just renovated a beautiful home in France. And this is very much our home here. So I think I have this, beautiful luxury to be able to have connections all over the world. I think it also has to do with where you are making memories and you have people that you love. So I would say that I very much have that in all of those places. So that's where home is for me.
For you right now. No, thank you for sharing. I've noticed on social media you're out and about with the family and you're living life. That's great to see. I was wondering, what do you like doing with your family in your pastime? Do you have hobbies that you do with them?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, we live in the southwest of France, so we live now very much in the country. So we go hiking. I love to go to the market every week. So the French market is very much a thing here. And it is as you see it to be, and imagine it to be on, TV and documentaries that you watch. So I usually make that, one of the things that I try to schedule into my calendar every Thursday morning and go be part of the market and buy fresh fruit and veg and whatnot. Have a coffee. But we just love to get outdoors. We're kind of where we are, we're sandwiched between the ocean and the Pyrenees. So we're, quickly in the mountains and also quickly at the sea where my boys like to surf. I absolutely adore my work. So even though it's not a hobby, I would say that I, even in times when I'm, resting, I am reading self-development books. I am meditating. I'm doing all sorts of things that probably contribute to my work, but are little offshoots of my work that have become hobbies as well.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for sharing. Now, for context, everybody's on the call with us today. We're also going to be talking about Suzanne's Soulful Enrollment formula and the 3 keys to fill your program and earn the money that fuels your freedom-based lifestyle. But as is normally the case, we like to do this, I guess, this precursory conversation because it does give a framework to how it is that you got to be where you are. Now, I know that when you were back in Australia, one of your other passions was home renovation. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yes, yeah. We, my husband was a builder and a property developer, so we, as his second career, And we kind of stumbled into it about 15 years ago, buying our first little apartment and, pulling some walls down and renovating that. Quickly thereafter, selling it, buying another little house. And obviously we realized at the time that it was one way to kind of get ahead financially was buying, a property that was maybe the worst property in the street, renovating it and doing it up and then selling it. And so we started on that adventure, and we did 5 renovations, I think, eventually finishing up with the beautiful Victorian, terrace house right in the center of Melbourne that we eventually rented to come here. But that was, I guess I say we fell into it. We did want to use Rob's trade and what he knew, but also we quickly realized that it was a project. They were projects that we could do something, where we could do it together. I ran an advertising agency, and Rob was a property developer. So we found that the building our own homes was a joint project that we could collaborate on. And, I know that sounds like a nightmare for some people, but we really enjoyed it. I love interiors. I love, really, it's having a vision for a home. And being able to, kind of bring that through to fruition. So we've just done another one here. So this was a falling down French farmhouse, about from the 1700s, and we've just renovated it all. And I don't know if this is our last one. We said this is our last because it's been a massive project. As you can imagine, very old house is not as straightforward as some of the homes that we did in Melbourne. But it's been a joy. It's been amazing, and
I think it's in your blood.
Fun to do.
It's in your blood, isn't it?
I think so.
I somehow get this impression that's not going to be your last one. Now, I know that...
I don't know.
the working together on a project is one thing, but actually moving to a place where, I guess, is Rob, can he speak French at all? How did that go with supplies and where do you go? Do you have a Bunnings? What's the Bunnings over there like?
There are big stores like that. I mean, France has a population of 80 million, so it's much bigger than Australia.
Yep.
So it's very well supplied when it comes to those kinds of stores. You have to figure out where they are, what are their names, which is often something that's quite funny because we always call them by the wrong pronunciation. And despite Rob's language and not having a fluent grasp of French. He's absolutely, made strides and always makes an effort to go about. Like he goes off and he ordered the carpet one day. He went to a carpet store, and I couldn't believe that he actually didn't take me, and that he actually just went and figured it out. And between his franglais and the other guy's small amount of English, they manage, and with jests and they get there, and I think. If you have a real can-do attitude, you can kind of do anything. And we use Google Translate a lot, and he uses Google Translate to to translate English words. Or he even coaches kids in soccer, like a French team, and he's English completely.
Oh, wow.
So I think it's all mindset and attitude. I really do.
And that's what I'd love to talk about a little bit later on, because I think it's a pivotal thing to have the right attitude in when you're out of your depth in many respects in a new location, not necessarily for yourself so much, but I guess in some respects you might be. But now, in terms of the local cuisine, what do you like to eat over there? Is it all just fruits and veg, or I think pastries? I think that sort of food when I think French food.
French food? Yeah. They are pastry, queens and kings. Croissants and their bakeries are quite amazing. Their baguette and very, they're about €1, so they're really, really cheap. I remember going to the South Melbourne market for our French croissants, and they were $5.
Yeah, wow.
But they are €1 here, so it makes it very accessible. As a once in a while thing. I think in my first year I might have had a few too many, but I've toned it down a little bit now when they're full of the butter that they are. But they're delicious. But this region here and even France, every region has its own thing. Because we're very much in the country here, meat is a big part of their life. So lots of pork, lots of beef.
Yep.
Their great big steaks are amazing. A little bit less lamb. We actually travel across to Spain to get the lamb. Fish, of course. Yep. But duck is also something that's very, very huge in the area. So, you think of foie gras. which is like liver pate.
Oh, yes.
But also the duck breast, and they do a thing called confit duck, which is like cooking the duck breast or cooking the duck wing and leg in its own fat, which is absolutely divine. And all of our kids love all of these French, delicacies as well, now that they've been eating them for a few years. So yes, we eat very, very well here.
Well, you talked about moderation a little earlier, and it led me to start thinking about what a daily routine might include for you to look after yourself, because clearly you do look after yourself. You eat the right foods in moderation. You have a bit of a treat now and then. So what does a daily routine look like for you? Do you have a fitness regime or anything like that?
I walk a lot, so because we're in this beautiful countryside, but we're also in a town. So there's an old train track that was turned into like a walkway. I did a 2-hour hike yesterday with one of my sons. The woods right up behind us have some hikes and things like that. So that's very much part of my weekly routine. I do meditate quite regularly, so that's part of my maybe not daily, but if I'm being good, it's a daily thing. I eat very well. I have my own garden where you can't get things like some simple things sometimes, like kale is not a big thing here. So I grow my own. I have my own garden, and so I try to eat well. We've got chickens, so plenty of eggs, and so food is a big thing for me. I think we can set ourselves up really, really well, and despite having 3 kids with different eating habits, I'll eat really well in the day so that I can not focus so much on it at night maybe, and not have to get all my veg in. So I'll do that for myself in the middle of the day quite often with eggs and things like that. So I think for me it's part food, part movement, part mindset and well-being, and keeping my mind nice and clear as well.
Now, did you at one stage, did we talk about pets? Did you happen to have any pets? Have you ever had
other
pets?
than the chickens. Other than the chickens, we don't have any other pets. We've always moved a lot. We've always even when we were living in Melbourne, I traveled a lot with my work. We went back to Canada and back to the UK, where my husband's family is, every year for, many weeks.
Yep.
Our holidays were 3 or 4 weeks long. So we never, we had 3 boys. They were the ones that were keeping us running around. There's talk of a dog maybe, but we'll see. It would just depend on whether or not. Whether or not our lifestyle can actually accommodate a dog. But there's been discussion. It's in discussion.
I love this sort of conversation because I get to know you as the person, let alone the business owner and the entrepreneur and the project manager and all the rest of it. So thank you very much for
that's
sharing.
That's the thing. I mean, at the end of the day, we might own businesses, but we are all people running our businesses. And that's why I like, I'm a life coach, but also a business coach. So I have my business experience that I can help bring to other people's businesses, but also there's a life coaching aspect of it that can help, that helps massively on a daily basis when I speak to my clients.
Absolutely. And I've seen some of the work that you've shared on social media. If that's anything to go by, your clients are certainly in for a treat. Now, I wonder, on your journey, there would have been ups and downs. And, we hear about overnight successes and, sometimes these overnight successes take decades to get to that point, but people don't recognize that. Tell us a little bit about the times when things weren't going so well and what, failure has taught you along the way.
Yeah, sure. I agree. I think there's a lot of discussion around, kind of how fast people have, grown their businesses. And I even sometimes get talk a little bit about that because I know that it can also inspire people. So, in quite a short period, I have, launched my business coaching business. So probably about 18 months ago, I started. And I've scaled it up to quite a significant level and making, 20, 30K months in a very short time period. But, and so I know that that's possible for other people, but it does come with 20 years of experience. So I come, with a lot of experience behind me. But I've always been willing to take a leap, and I've always been willing to try things and to back myself. And sure, I have days when I wake up and I doubt myself and I, wonder what am I doing, and I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. But that's where, the kind of the strong mindset comes in. I do in my first, when I left I was running an advertising agency, and when I first left the agency, I started my own business, and it kind of was 3 years into that when I felt a little bit lost. Actually, I sent an email out today that was talking about being a bit lost and what we did to find ourselves again, which was one of the main reasons why we moved to France to kind of reconnect with what we didn't know at the time, but what mattered most in our lives. And so that experience of that first entrepreneurial experience taught me more than that I could ever imagine. So that when I recreated, my life now, and so when I started again with a carte blanche and a clean slate, I was able to draw on the things that I felt like I had gone well, but also, mostly the things that I wanted to change. And one of the massive things was that we hadn't really identified what our values were as a family and as a couple and even as a business. And I think there's a real opportunity to really think about how you want to show up every day and how you want to live, in your values. And if you don't know what those are, like figure them out, which is some work that I do with my clients before starting, because it's really foundational. It's really important to, stack on offers and products and, figure out who you want to work with. And if you don't know who you are and what your values are and how you want to show up every day, it makes it really difficult to come from a place of alignment when you're moving forward and setting yourself goals and things. So that was that experience in my first foray into entrepreneurship was definitely I wouldn't say a failure, but there were lots of gaps and lots of things that I know I can see now in hindsight that I did wrong.
It's a wonderful thing, isn't it, hindsight?
Yeah, absolutely. Hindsight, that's right. And that was how I was able to more quickly and more successfully this time around grow and scale my business.
You mentioned earlier about taking leaps. So my assumption is that you're no stranger to risk-taking. There's a risk versus reward equation. How do you make risks in what you do for your clients? And how do you encourage them to take measured steps forward?
Yeah, I think one is that first piece of figuring out your values. And so once you figured out, what your values are and also, what your vision is, then you can figure out, if you don't have your vision, you kind of don't know where you're going. It's like a GPS, you're not setting the location in the GPS. You've got nowhere for it to go.
Navigate,
and, sure, it's going to weave and it's going to go in and out and it's going to go all sorts of different ways on your way to that goal. But I think that would be, that's what I help my clients do on a daily basis, is kind of try to map out where they're going, and having those values set as a first, and the first step is quite key.
Do you talk to your clients about stepping away at all and having a break, or is it go until you get results? What's your approach?
No, all the time, all the time. I'm really big on helping people. I run my business in about 15, maybe 20 hours a week, and because I have kids, and because I also, I don't want to burn myself out again. I want to run my business from a place of ease and flow. So. It's a word that I say every single day to my clients about ease and flow.
Love it.
There's a lot of discussion because I worked, in corporate for a long time. There's a lot of, masculine ways of working and very much, doing and we are obviously different beasts, men and women, and there are more feminine ways of working in your feminine and letting yourself work with more flow and with more ease. Some people track the moon, some people track their own feminine cycles. There's lots of different things that we can do to increase our productivity and actually not do more in less time, as opposed to, hustling and grinding and doing more and more and more to achieve the same goals.
And I would suggest that men can learn a lot from the way women conduct themselves in the workplace. That's for sure and certain.
Yeah, absolutely, and vice versa. So it's not men versus women. It's just that because of the patriarchy and the way that things have been for the last 1,000 years.
We're shifting
the ways
paradigm.
that we've learned. Yeah, absolutely. So it's really interesting once you start delving into it and just and learning about it. And this is what I'm when you talk about hobbies, and I'm constantly reading about these kinds of things, and I wish I had been taught as a teenager that there was, other ways of working, that I could work 15 hours a week with ease and with flow. If I know that the full moon is coming or the new moon is coming, or know what my cycle is doing, and there's ways of going with the flow as opposed to, against the grind.
Yeah. Oh, this hindsight is a very powerful thing, isn't it?
Isn't it? Yeah, absolutely.
I just wonder if we could shift gears and talk directly about the Soulful Enrollment formula. What is that all about? Sounds fascinating.
I guess I just come about. So I've always been a salesperson at heart, and one of the number one challenges that many entrepreneurs have is finding clients and enrolling people into their programs. They create courses, and lots of people come with lots of skills and create programs and offerings, especially in the coaching industry. But no matter what you're selling, you create these things, and then you have a challenge, which is, okay, no one's buying it, or no one's joining my program, or seeing my work. So I believe that there's a way of coming at our business, like I just finished saying, with more ease and more flow. Yeah. And the catalyst of that is actually by being more authentically ourselves. So the more that we show up as ourselves in our business, and we are, show our vulnerabilities, show our our true selves in whether it be social media or in emails that you might write or in your programs, the more success you will have at truly magnetizing your client. And that's the key of it. It's not rocket science.
No.
People want to buy from people, and people want to connect. So it's actually, simplifying sales and making people realize that it's not about selling something. It's really about showing up and serving and I know that I can change someone's life if I can help them, get out of the rut that they're in, where they're making, $1,000 a month, and take them up to $10,000 a month. That's a massive difference for someone's life. And so that's the service that I provide, and that I feel passionate about, and I'm convinced about. And so I have this belief. So when I show up and talk about my content or talk about anything in my business, I come with that passion. Yep, and first and foremost, I just show up as myself.
Absolutely. And that's really sage advice, is to be yourself, because I know that is very difficult, very challenging for people to do, especially if they're locked in the way of thinking. They have, let's say, a negative mindset and a belief about themselves. Is that fear something that people can overcome? And is it a long process?
Look, every single person, including me and probably yourself, has fear. But quite often, fear comes from, fear is a feeling. It comes from thoughts. So thoughts create our feelings. And so, yes, we can absolutely change our thoughts. And sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're having a thought of, I can't do this, or, no one's out there to buy, or, I'm feeling doubtful about, the results I'm getting for my clients. Well, those thoughts are creating this feeling of fear, and you can totally reframe those thoughts. You can, there's a wide range of different things that you can do to improve your thoughts. And so that mindset work that I do with clients, and even the work that I do for myself, is giving yourself some space. And so that for me, that might be walking, that might be meditation, that might be journaling, to get some of those thoughts down, to see whether or not they're actually true thoughts. So if those thoughts that I write down, I realize are not true, or making me feel fearful, then what thoughts can I replace it with? And if we replace them with positive, encouraging, optimistic thoughts, we can absolutely rewrite, how we feel on a daily basis, to being motivated, to being excited, to being confident, as opposed to overwhelmed and doubtful and fearful. So absolutely, sometimes it takes time, but sometimes it's just literally opening someone's eyes to that conversation and realizing, where they've been operating from. And so I believe that, yes, that's mindset, but then that obviously has a massive impact on our energy. And the more we think optimistically, the more we think about, gratitude, the more we celebrate our small successes. We are all energy, right? Everything is energy. And, those are very high vibration characteristics. So if you're always thinking in that sense, you're probably going to magnetize, that's the whole like for like law of attraction. But if you're always in the doldrums and you're thinking about your debt that you have and you're thinking about negative feelings, what are you going to attract? You're going to attract more of that. You're going to attract more debt. You're going to attract more negativity and people that, that don't serve your purpose.
It's a tremendous loss for people who go throughout their life, not ever recognizing that, basically if it's going to be up to me, and just shifting that self-talk is
Absolutely.
a very powerful thing. Now,
yes, yeah.
You talked about the law of attraction. What does that actually mean to people who don't know what this is, and how do they apply it?
So the basis of law of attraction is that like attracts like. So what you put out will attract what the energy that you're putting out. Exactly. So it's physics. The fact that we are all energy down to our cells, and when people like I said, are vibrating at a frequency that is at a high frequency. So there's ways of doing that. So celebration and gratitude is the highest form of frequency that you can vibrate at. What do you feel when you feel grateful? So that's why when people talk about, Oprah's been talking about it for years, practice gratitude. There's a reason why she says practice gratitude, because you emit a very high frequency of vibration when you're at that level. And then you will attract more of that thing that you're practicing into your life, seeking into your life. That's right. So if you're, like I said, if it's a money thing, if you're always focusing on your debt and, I've got another bill to pay, when you have a bill to pay, you should say, I am feeling really grateful that I have the $150 to pay for this bill. And it's down to that kind of level of gratitude that you can really raise your vibration and raise your frequency to attract more abundance into your life. And so it's since I've been practicing it, I think it's changed my life. And it really does attract me these clients that I just pinch myself after I get the chance to work with them, because they really fuel me. I fuel them. It's this beautiful exchange, because I'm magnetizing that kind of person who also vibrates at that level, who wants what I'm feeling, who gets what I'm doing.
It's very uplifting. It begs the question, Suzanne, if we have so much negative media around us, or if we hang around those who are always seemingly in the doldrums, there seems to be an opportunity to reduce our exposure and move to different groups of people. Is that the sort of 100%. Path that people should be thinking about?
100%. So, and right now, especially, over the last couple of years, especially with COVID and media, I'm not a massive news consumer, but I do watch, and I'm not naive to what's going on. My husband loves the news, so I ask him what's going on, and he gives me the 5-second, kind of recap of it.
Like a news version.
And then I put my boundaries up again and say, okay, I actually even say sometimes, that's enough. I've had enough.
Yeah. There's never any good news.
Too much. No, I know. Well, that's the whole thing, that the media is selling news, right?
Yeah,
so they're going to give you the news that's going to make people want to consume more of it. And that's why it's not always 100% truthful. It's not always 100%, conducive to you feeling really good about yourself. So yes, like cutting down on news consumption is absolutely a way of doing it. And also people in your life, like you got to have boundaries. You got to have ways of, there are sometimes people in your life that you have to actually let go of, and that can be really hard and painful, but if they're dragging you down and they're not helping you get to where you want to get to, then, you have to think about yourself at the end of the day. And if they're keeping you from getting, from you getting to your goals because they're super negative and just not, even friends you might see on the weekend, and you always see them every, Friday for drinks, and maybe it might be a hard decision that you need to make about not seeing them anymore if, one of them is super, super negative. But, you have to.
Life is too short, and it most certainly is not a dress rehearsal, is it? Now, I'd love to learn a little bit, in fact, a lot about the process that you would take somebody who wants to work with you through. Is there some sort of onboarding sequence to see if you're a good fit and whether or not you can help people? Talk us through that.
Yeah, look, I think the best thing is to have a chat. I know that experience-wise, my strategies, my skills can probably help anybody and everybody, but that not everybody and anybody is going to want to work with me. And I want to work with people where there's a really good, like I talked about, magnetic fit, and there's a really good match.
Yep.
And so I love just getting on a call with somebody and just, sussing it out and getting to know each other a little bit, because, even if I'm working with somebody for a month, so I'll work with somebody maybe for a month or up to 6 months. Most people come in for 6 months because there's quite a big job to do. But let's say even just for a month, it's, we're talking every week. We talk in between on voice messaging apps. I really take a vested interest in helping you, get from where you are to get to where you want to get to, and work on your mindset. And I really get to know my clients, and I get, very vested. So I want to work with people that, like I said, that fuel me, and who I really genuinely understand the challenge, but also that they're ready for it. They're ready for the investment. They're ready to, to lean into the discomfort, because sometimes it's not fun.
No.
The growth is often where, the discomfort comes where you're growing.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to really join and do that process together, you have to make sure there's a fit. So I love just getting on a call with people, and I offer that as a free call with somebody for, a half an hour. It really gives us a good sense. And now with, everybody's on Zoom, but, I do everything on Zoom. My clients are all over the place, from Australia to the UK to North America. So,
and everywhere in between now.
Everywhere in between.
Do you have different levels of programs, or is there just like one level, or how does that work?
No, I do. So I haven't even mentioned, I do have a group program. So if people are wanting to, just get their first foray into what I do, I have a group program, a group course, of course, that people can just buy. And at the moment I'm running it live, but you can usually buy it, just off the shelf kind of thing.
Yep.
And that's at a lower investment level. And then, a 1 month is a 1 month investment. So that's kind of, if it's slightly higher. And then obviously a 6 month is a higher commitment, financially. But so there's kind of like a small, medium, large version of what you can do currently. And, as coaches, we're constantly developing programs based on what our clients need. So I have no doubt that I'll be, continuing to develop different things for my audience. And I do love to give people a little bit of a bite-sized, version of experience of what I do. So one is either a free call. I have some free resources on my website. I've got blogs on my website. I do like live videos on my Instagram page every week, and you can get a sense of, who I am, what I'm talking about, and the kind of stuff that I teach.
Do you enjoy writing?
I love writing. Yeah, I love writing, and writing a book is one of the things on my
that's what I was getting at.
To do.
So when's that coming?
I hope in the next 12 months. I would like to develop a podcast actually, and write a book. So I'm not quite sure which one I'm going to do first, but it's certainly something on my radar for the next 12 months.
That's excellent. I've absolutely loved this call. We've learned so much in such a short, condensed amount of time, and we could have taken this conversation in so many different directions. Now, importantly, what is the actual domain name where people might find you, along with any other places they might reach out to you?
Sure. So I have a unique name, so it's not, Jane Smith. It's quite easy to find if you can spell it correctly. So everywhere, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and even my website, is all just Suzanne Acteson. So Suzanne, and then Acteson, Acteson. You can find me on any one of those platforms.
Well, that's too easy. Look, everybody was on the call today. I hope you've had a wonderful time with us, as much as I have had a wonderful time spending some time with you on the My Future Business show today.
Thanks, Rick. It's been a great to be a part, and I look forward to connecting with some of your community.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.